So yesterday, my new IntelliGel case came in that you can see right here. It's awesome. I built this kind of interesting Euclidean rhythm use case for it. I haven't really taken advantage of a lot of the 1U that you can see up here. Not at all, to really be honest with you, except for the outs at the end. But here I built this kind of interesting patch that allows me to sync all of this with the MPC Live too, which I love very, very much, and ultimately build some really interesting kind of like crazy house beats on the fly. So last night I made this. Right, and what you can hear is you're hearing a lot of different Euclidean rhythms. We've got this guy. We've got this guy. Right, so that even that has a little beat to it right there. We've got this guy. Right, and then finally we have this guy. Right? So that's pretty cool because basically what I was able to do was create this patch that allows all these different pieces to kind of work together in time. Now, Euclidean rhythms, if you guys don't know what they are, it's basically a rhythmic pattern that goes in a certain given amount of time and has a certain amount of notes within that time. So I achieve Euclidean rhythms with this pulsar device right here, which we'll get into in just a second. But the goal of the video today is going to be to show you guys how I sync these together, how I've been using the Euclidean rhythms to make really interesting, quick little house patches, and just kind of go to town from there. So before we get started, I want to ask everyone to like this video, please. Please leave down a comment if you think this is a cool setup or if you have any questions. And please subscribe if you like my vibe. We are almost at 100 subscribers, and once we do that, we are beginning the 100 subscriber giveaway, which is ultimately monthly giveaways of some of my favorite gear and some of my favorite plugins. Pretty cool. Okay, so now that we're going to dive in, the first most important thing is making sure we know the key of how we're going to be playing in. And luckily, my eurorack patch has an interesting solution for that. So right here, we've got a couple of different modules. And real quick, just the patching, what it looks like is pulsar ascending gates, which means that it's triggering something to turn on or off, or just on in this case. And then it's sending information or those triggers to my ADSRs right here, which I have 4 total, 1, 2, 3 in this guy and 4 here. Ultimately, that's going into the quad VCA right here, which allows me to modulate sources in as they come. So as I get a gate trigger from the ADSR, it's going to send that into the quad VCA, which will ultimately affect the volume. So we'll hear it be plucky, longer, shorter, staccato, however you want from there. But what's starting all of this is the chord. So the chord and the pulsar kind of work in tandem, where the pulsar is handling the rhythm and the chord is handling the actual notes being played. So real quick, the chord here has a really interesting layout on the top. We can choose between major, minor, diminished, sustained, and augmented chords. I usually just stick with major and minor. It's just easier to do it that way. But let's go ahead and for this purpose of today, we're going to do minor. And what I have here, which you guys can see here, is a little tuner. So let me make sure it's on. Yeah, it's on. So now what I've got is I've got one of the outputs coming from the case directly into the tuner here. And the tuner is going to help us figure out which note we're on. So we are going to take the root note here and turn that up, and ultimately I'm going to put it on my sampler so you can actually hear it. Okay, so you can hear right now we're a little off of a C. So let's just go ahead and change this, and what I want to do is I'm going to write today in, let's do F minor. So I can use the frequency knob, which you guys can see here, just to kind of change the frequency I'm going to, right? So I'm just using this knob and I'm trying to get to an F. So I want to start low. So I'm going to move this guy, the macro knob here. There we go. Oh, perfect. That's an F. Sometimes I think I actually can potentially hear by ear because I actually heard that in my ear, but other times I'm like, no, Brent, you're crazy. You can't do that cool stuff. So we know we're on F. Our root is on F. It looks like it's a little low. Let's just crank it up a little bit. Perfect. So our root note is on F, meaning this whole chord will be now F, and it'll be in minor because we have minor selected at the top of the chord right here. Kind of hard to see, but major, minor, and minor selected right there. Okay, we're done with the chord, and we're also kind of done with this annoying sound. So now what we can do is we need to sync the clock from the MPC Live into the IntelliGel palette here, and then ultimately into the pulsar. So I'm going to take my output from my gate 2 here for my MIDI device. This is connected through USB to my MPC Live 2. And this is going to handle the clock. So now if I hit play, we can see we're starting to send MIDI data. Now, for some reason, and I haven't been able to figure out why this is. If you guys know, please let me know down in the comments because I don't know why this is. But I can't actually get the clock to send until I actually select some sort of MIDI track. So now that I have MIDI track selected here, it's still not sending here, but let me just go ahead now and just change the MIDI port. Oh, it's still not sending there. There we go. Now it's sending. It's so weird. It almost like needs a flash to the MIDI port to send it to actually work. But now you can see here, we have gate, and we can actually hear the pulsar working already, right? That sounds terrible. Let's just stop everything real quick. So all that matters now is we're in sync. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go to the pulsar here. And I am going to go down to just one note here. And then I'm going to do the same thing for all the channels. One note, one note, one note, one note. You can see I'm selecting through different modes here. This is not a tutorial on the pulsar. This module has so many things it can do, and there's no really good review out for it or like video for it. And I would say I would do it, but I don't know what the hell this thing does half the time, to be honest with you. So maybe we'll look at that another time. But ultimately, we're going to make sure that we're only worrying about channel 1 right now. We can see it's kind of hanging out here in the clock. And now we're just going to make sure we can only hear channel 1 through our VCA. We're going to turn everything down on the VCA. And now we're going to go ahead and hit play. All right, we hear our drums here, and we can see it slowly circling back to the 1 here. It's trying. It'll get there eventually. All right, I'm going to stop. I'm going to play again. See, we can hear that now. Let's do that little... Okay, so now I'm going to go back to this mode, and I'm going to enter in some more notes. So, right, you can see it's got a kind of little funky bass line we're hearing now. Let's go ahead and add more notes to it now, though. Add some more. Maybe a couple more here. Make it even. Dum, dum, dum. Cool. That's pretty cool. So we've got that now. I want to make sure though. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, cool. I am hearing the 1, right? Because that's important. We always got to make sure we're hearing the 1 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that'll work. It's kind of just like this big bass patch kind of thing. Now, before we dial it in, or before we record it in, I can also modulate the attack and decay from this guy here. So that just makes it shorter. Cool. Okay, now we do have one last little special guest star here, and that is going to be this Astral Destiny from Earthquaker Devices. This is just a crazy reverb that, I don't know, I just wanted to throw something on here. I was like, let's throw this. My father-in-law gave it to me. Thank you, Lee. Appreciate it for Christmas. He plays his guitar. It's pretty cool. We have that in common. And let's go ahead and just put some effects on this, see if we like it. So now I'll turn it on so you can hear it. All right, let's adjust some of the settings here. Make it shorter. And also it's got the stretch time. Cool, that's kind of cool. Let's try a different mode here. It's kind of sparkly. I don't really like that. This is kind of cool. I kind of like how eerie it is. So let's go ahead and we're going to change this to a 4-bar pattern real quick. Actually, I'll go back to a 2-bar and just duplicate this because that would probably be smarter. Double the length. And now we're at 4. Oh, but see, I lost it. No. And that's been my biggest gripe with this system, is because the system currently as it is will only hold a clock, meaning that when you actually like the pulsar, when you stop the clock, it doesn't know when the 1 or the 2 is. So now I have to play it again until I can find that rhythm that I liked. That is probably the most annoying thing about this whole setup. And I'm trying to figure that out. I actually have the Euclidean circles module coming in, as well as a new MIDI interface coming in that may help with that. But for right now, I'm kind of locked in this weird spot where I have to kind of stop and start going every time. So let's try to get back to the melody we just had. Gosh darn it. See, it's off there. Off there. Okay, there's one more thing we can do here. Let's go ahead and we're going to turn this dial. We can move everything with the dial. Almost. There we go. That's what we wanted. All right, so now I'll go to my looper. And you can probably hear it went to stereo automatically. I'm going to go to input 1. Cool. And now let's go ahead and overdub this in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Got it. Cool. And we're hearing it twice now. So actually, I'm going to turn it down now on this guy. Oh, you guys didn't even see me recording that. I apologize. But we locked it in here, so you can see the waveform right here now. Cool. Now, this is we've stopped it on the intelligible case now, on the eurorack. So now let's go ahead and export this. And we're going to call this because we know it's C, right? We think it's an F, right? So I'm just going to say it's F. I'm going to export it up here. Let's pick a program here. I'm just going to pick here. And I'm going to click keep. And now if I clear this, we can hear it there because I've already set up on the grid. Yes, I thought I did. Oh, wrong track. That's why I'm wrong. Right, so now you can see, oh, it's doing quick save. Okay, I'm just gonna cancel the save. I don't need it. So you can see right here that I have all these 4 pads are gonna start right on the 1. So that's why we're hearing it in time. If I stop, if I start again. Super cool. Okay, so that's part 1. Now, part 2 is going to be creating a new Euclidean rhythm with the second channel on here, which is going to be basically being used by the chord. Now, the chord here, we already heard the F, which is the root. Next is going to be the third, right? So it's basically building up a chord of a minor chord. This is a third in the F minor chord. So now, which I believe, what is that? That is going to be A flat, I believe. I think it's A flat. So now this A flat note is going to be controlled by the second channel in pulsar. And so as I hit play here, let's go ahead and go back. Actually, this will work. Let's hit play. All right, now let's turn up the second channel. Right here, it's just a little quick little thing. Ooh, that's kind of funky. Right, so now we have that F and that A sharp kind of playing off of each other a little bit, right? I like that a lot. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and record that in now. We're going to go back to the MPC Live. We're going to go back to our menu. We're going to go to loop bar. Go back to input 1 here. Right, and we've got, let's see if we don't take off any delay or anything. Maybe a little less delay on this one. Or, sorry, reverb. Try to stretch again. And the stretch is just taking it and kind of making it a little bit longer here. That's all it's really doing. It's kind of doing it and also pitching the reverb a little bit. It's kind of cool. Okay, we're also peaking real quick, so I'm just going to turn this down a little bit. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and let's record now. So I have it in looper mode, so it's going to record in time on the next one. Here we go. Cool, that's done now. So I'm going to turn it down now on the IntelliGel eurorack. And then now I'm going to go ahead and export this. And I'm going to call this one, I think we said it was A flat. And I could be wrong on that, but let me know in the comments if I'm not. It doesn't really matter because luckily I know it's all going to be an F minor anyways for now. We're going to assign it to the second pad here and click keep. And now because I'm going to hit clear because we won't play, but because I already have those pad sequence in here on the grid, right? Everything's starting on the 1. I can go ahead and now hit play. Very cool. And I know I'm peaking. I'm just trying to show you guys what I'm doing here. So I'll worry about mixing it a little bit later at the end. So let's just hear those 2 notes that we have now by themselves. So if I just solo the F and the A flat here. Right? It's kind of a cool little thing. Bring in the kick. Pretty cool. All right, let's get rid of all these solos, bring everything back in now. Okay, so we did all that. We've got the initial, what is it, the root. We've got the third. Now going back on the next one here would be the 5th. Oops, wrong camera. We did the 5th next. So with this one, it's going to be a little bit higher, right? Because we're keep getting higher because we're doing the basic voicing of this chord. And so now we're just going to go to our 3rd channel here, play the MPC Live, and just start to hear what sounds good with everything else kind of going on. So we're going to turn on the 3rd channel here with the quad VCA. Right, you can hear it right there. coming in mono. Let's put back in stereo. My output getting back to 0. Here we go. Turn it down. Okay, so let's go ahead and adjust the AD of this guy. So we have attack and decay associated with this guy here. So we can make it nice and short. Cool. Now I'm not loving this. I'm gonna stop it and play and see if we get something else new. Try it again. There we go. Cool. Let's go ahead and make sure we're in the right mode here. And now we're gonna make 2 of these. Go ahead and rotate them a little bit. That's kind of cool. Now, the last thing we can do too is we can adjust the waveform of the chords. So right now it's doing this kind of like interesting, it sounds like a sawtooth wave a little bit. We can change the waveform here on this one. That's kind of cool. Let's turn off the effect. We don't want to make everything reverbed out, right? Let's add another one. That's cool, right? Okay, so now let's go. Oh, I went back to stereo again. I don't know why it does this all the time. All right, let's go back to our MPC Live, mono it out. All right, let's add a little more decay time to this real quick. I'm gonna change the waveform real quick. You guys can't see this, but that's cool. That might be where we were originally, but I like that better. All right, so let's go ahead and lay this in now. And now for this one, I'm going to activate this at the end. Cool. So ideally, that should have given us a little flavor at the end of it. So I'm going to turn this guy down now. Cool, you can kind of hear it a little bit right there. Cool. So let's go ahead now. We're going to export this guy. Now this is the 5th. So I believe this is what? Is that C? I think that's C, right? 3rd would be E sharp plus 1, 2. Yeah, C. So now we're going to call it C here. I'm going to put it right here. And I'm going to hit keep. Now I'm going to clear it on the next one. It should just start. And then we should get the little flavor thing at the end. Solo just to make sure it's recorded in right. Ah, stop trying to autosave. I gotta turn that off. This is what we just laid down. Maybe I didn't get the activator there. Here's all of them together. So like you can already hear, you can start to hear that this is already making this really intelligent beat. I don't know what you would call this, but it's like everything's kind of flowing together. I don't know. I really like it. Okay, let's unsolo these. We got one muted here, that's why. All right, here's the whole beat again. I think my favorite part is just that dome that comes in, that initial F. Okay, so now the last chord we have in the chord module to use is the 7th chord. So we're gonna go back to the IntelliGel here, and I'm gonna turn this guy up now, and then we're gonna go to our 4th channel here, which is indicated in orange, I believe, and we're gonna hit play. All right, back to our looper, make sure we're in mono. Right, so just doing a little click. Let's pick a lot of these. There you go. So that's one every note now, so just a 16th note pattern. And now we have the 2 HP ADSR right here that we can adjust for this guy to make the sound a little different. Change the range. It's hard to actually move the sea of cables here. Cool. Okay, I think that's pretty neat. Let's see if we can get any reverb on it here. That's just a whole lot of reverb right there. Let's try different mode and turn the stretch off. We're gonna do shimmer. That's cool. That's super cool. All right, so I don't want to stop the beat because obviously it'll start the timing, but I'm just gonna hit overdub here. Then it should come and record 4 bars here in just a second. We can see it when it hits the end. Here we go. Cool. All right, let's go ahead and turn the IntelliJ down now. Export this to, oh gosh, what is this now? The 7th? I think that's D, right? Yeah, I think that's D. And then we're gonna put that here and click keep. And now I'm gonna start everything over, clear this. Cool, and now we've got all 4 of these guys just right here in this little pad. I'll mute. I'm gonna turn off our metronome too here now that we're done with that. But we made all this. We made everything you're hearing now through the Euclidian Rhythms. Of course, we had to do some weird timing things to get things working the correct way, and I'm still working on a new patch to do something different with that. But ultimately, it's pretty cool. Like, everything is in key with F minor now because it's an F minor chord, so it's pretty easy. We can also hey, I know other chords that are in F minor, so if I want to build onto this, I can try something else. Or I can try a different chord, hey, instead of F minor, let's do A flat major, because that would be in the F minor scale. So you can kind of have fun with this in any way you want. But it's kind of making this weird, melodic house type of stuff. It's almost like using this is getting me access to, these weird rhythms that I wouldn't have usually used before. I don't know how to program any of this. I could probably figure it out because there's only 16 of each, but it's pretty cool. And also, it just sounds interesting. I like the reverb. Obviously, the reverb is just kind of a choice on here, but it sounds pretty cool. Let's put the kick drum back in and the clap. So yeah, now obviously if we wanted to mix all this, we would just turn all these guys down. Listen to our kick and clap relationship first. Those sound pretty good. Let's go ahead and turn up this big thing first. That's all right. Reverb can be a little louder. Cool. Stop trying to autosave. And then finally here, and you know what'd be cool with this? Let's just throw a filter on this real quick. Add some overdrive. Right, so we've got almost these synth hi-hats here, right? There's a little warble, right? It's in that first little, you can hear it coming up. Right there, it's a little warble. Add some resonance, turn it down. Very cool. Okay, that's everything I really wanted to show you guys. I hope you liked this video. Definitely something interesting and new. I'm going to try to do more stuff with this case and add some things around to it. Overall, I'm super stoked with it though. At first I was like, this is tiny. I didn't expect it. And also it's really hard to plug everything in the top of here. But after going through all that, it's totally worth it. It's a really cool case. I really, really enjoy it. All right, so like I mentioned earlier, if you guys like this video, please like it. If you learned anything or if you have any questions, please leave a comment below. Happy to answer things. Also, I'm trying some new 24 frames per second on the video, so let me know if this looks better than my other videos, if you guys are keeping up. Yeah, and also just a quick shout out. Thank you so much for watching my most recent video where I just sat in front of a piano and talked about how much I love the MPC Live, because I really do love this guy, and it was so cool to see such a good positive response from a video like that. All right, well, hey, this is Brent Does Music. Oh, yeah. Subscribe. Once we get to 100 subscribers, we're giving away stuff. We're giving away stuff, monthly giveaways, free plugins, free gear, all the stuff that I love. I'm going to be giving to you so you guys can use some of it just like I do. All right. Thank you so much for watching this, guys. And I'll leave you with one more time. Peace.